Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Shadow from TCG, bringing you guys another rounds of the Sully's Abode locals or league. Facing a Vivi, I lost dice roll. He put me to go first. I passed to him. He does leader ability to tap 2, draw a card, and give a character rush. Does not have a character, but he draws a card. So he drew 2 cards that turn, which is pretty nasty for Vivi. So I swung for 8. Here he counters out. He gives me 2/2Ks to get out of it. More than enough cards with the amount that Vivi's going to draw with this leader ability. Pass the turn over to him. He's going to tap 3, play out Shariah. Shariah's ability is on block or attack, copy your opponent's leader's stat line. So it's a 3/4, but when he blocks, it becomes a 5K, copying my leader, or when he attacks. So he'll put some type of pressure. I swing for 6. He takes it. I tap 4, play Kuzan, draw a card, get into a Moria. I have a decent amount of, late game with the 2 Morias in hand. I do have the Ice Age and a Sanji, so I could pop something if needed. Here he swings 5 at life. I'm considering on countering out, which I do with the Sabo. I'm trying to just keep majority of my removal and keep my life high, just because he can give any character rush at any time. So I end up drawing into another Sanji, currently at 7 Don, I believe. So I attach 1 to leader. So if I do plan on using the Sanji, I need a 6-cost character. So the leader buff will make him a 6-cost. I considered on playing the Sanji and popping the Shariah, but I opted to using 1 Ice Age the Boa and then pop the Boa so he can't swing at me for 8 the next turn. And then I swing 6 at the Shariah. It's currently a 5K since it copies my leader set for the entirety of my turn until his start of next. So swing 6 there just to make him have to use counter. And you see he uses the 0-cost red event with the pudding to get out of that, which shows that he has no counter in hand right now. So if he didn't stun the Kuzan, I would have wiped the board, because I would have swung at the Shariah with the Kuzan first to reduce the Boa instead of wasting the Ice Age. So pretty decent play on playing that Boa, but I was able to remove it. So here he copies my stat line and attaches it on. Swings for 6. I counter out with the Tashigi just because I'm setting up for Moria next turn, just so I have something to play. And he Gravity Blades the rest of my field to the bottom. Unfortunately, with the leader buff, they still aren't out of the range for Gravity Blade. Gravity hits 6 and under. So he's got 4 in hand. And then here I'm just going to play. I'm going to attach 1 to leader. I still have that extra. But I'm going to play Moria. Only target is a Tashigi, which I can use to reduce something by resting. But since the Gecko Moria is on the field, my leader gets the 1K buff stat line now, since I have an 8-cost character. So I swing at the Shariah for 7 to clear it, so that he can't block with it or put pressure with it. He ends up playing the Shanks, 10-drop Shanks. I can KO a 10K or under, so Gecko's off the field automatically, which is unfortunate. Here, I'm contemplating on what exactly I want to do. That Nico Robin is a 6-cost, but when I have an 8-cost character, it can give something -5, which I planned on playing the Moria next turn to be able to use this ability. So I did contemplate on playing the Moria now, but I'm going to opt for the setup, just because then if the Nico Robin can stick, then I could play out a Sanji and be able to KO any character that he plays, even the 10-cost Shanks. So I swing 6 at life, play out the Nico, tap 3, and play out the Brook. With the setup that I have the Tashigi to rest it, give something -2. The Brook can give something -1. And then the Nico Robin could give -5. So I have stuff to give -8 that is on the board currently. So he swings 12 at life. I take it. Don't got the counter to do it. Plays another Shanks and KOs the Nico Robin. So he completely destroys my setup that I was aiming for. Right here, if I would have drew into a Kaido, I could have tapped the Tashigi, swung with the Brook at nothing, or at life, just to get the -1, and then get rid of one of these Shanks, but unfortunately did not see that. So I'm just working with what I have currently. So instead of opting to do the gecko play that I had planned, I'm considering on doing Sabo brand new to be able to find some cards, since I don't want my second gecko to be Shanks again after he did that. So I swing 6 at life to put pressure. I don't care if this Brook dies or not, because I'm gonna play it out with the Moria next turn. I swing 6 with lead, and he takes that one. I Sabo to see what I can get. Get 2 jacks. I'm gonna trash one of the jacks just because I don't need 2 of them, and they could become in handy. And here I'm gonna chuck the Brook. I decide to keep the Sanji just because I never know when exactly I'm gonna need it to pop anything on the field, so it's just a just in case. So I end up keeping Ice Age off this brand new search just so that I can be able to reach something. I'm trying to find a way to pop the Shanks that he has on field currently. Things running menace. So currently with the Ice Age, the TCG that's -7, and then the Brook, if it sticks, I could give it another -1, which will bring it down to 2 costs, and I could jack and get rid of it. But here you're gonna see he's gonna start putting a lot more pressure on with his leader ability. So he taps, I believe, 6, and he plays out a Wapple. So Wapple's ability is when he attacks, he can give something -2000, and then he gets a buff of 2000. So he plays out the Wapple for 6, taps 2 to give it rush, and draws a card off leader ability. And he swings 9k at the Brook, and then minuses 2k to the Sabo, just in case I wanted to block. He took that option away. He swings 12 at life. I take it, and he swings 12 again. Here, you're gonna see me do something a little different. I got the Rebecca off life, so I'm gonna opt to block with the Sabo and still counter out with the Rebecca, knowing that it's gonna die. The only reason I do this is because I want the Rebecca in trash, because I already plan on doing the Moria next turn. So instead of being able to just grab the Brook and putting the Brook down, I do it this way just so that I could grab the Rebecca from the trash, play out the Brook as well off the Rebecca. So I attach a Don to leader. I reduced the Wapple by 5 with the Ice Age, and I opted to do the Wapple instead of Shanks just because I couldn't reach Shanks. And the Wapple, I feel like, was going to put more pressure with the reducing the cost of my, the power of my cards. So with the Gecko, I grabbed Rebecca and Suru. Suru reduces the Wapple down to 0, and then I Brook it to KO it. I could have went for the Shanks to take it off, but I thought the Wapple would be more better to target in my mind. But this is where we're at this point. Potentially getting rid of the Shanks would have been better just because, again, it's a 12k swing. But I just opted for the Wapple since it was relying less, and I don't have to tap the Shigi. I can keep the Shigi up. So here, he plays the Boa, and he chose the Gecko to not be able to swing. So he stunned the Gecko, swings 12 at life. Here is where my opponent misplayed a bit, just because he still has 4 active Dawn. He could have used his leader ability to give the Boa rush and draw a card. So the slight misplay on my opponent's part. This is what he brought up to me. Which, if he did this, he would have been able to put more pressure. I would have been down to 1 life. I don't know what I would have had to have done. I would have honestly had to probably just counter out, but he could have attached all the Dawn and swung for 10 with the bow, and I wouldn't have been able to do that. So he passed over to me. I tapped the Tashigi to give it -2, and then I play the Sanji out and pop the Boa so that I could get rid of the pressure. Again, if he would have swung, I would have been at 1 life at this point. And here I'm looking at the trash to see what I can do. I swing 7 at life to put some more pressure on. I have 4 down left. I can't swing with the Gecko, so he ends up taking the 7k swing. Decides to use the trigger knot. doesn't. So I play the Rebecca over the Tashigi just so that I could grab the Tashigi as a 2k off Rebecca ability. So I block her up and grab some counter. And in here, he's going to play a Borsellino. And Borsellino's ability is bottom deck a 4 cost. He tried to bottom deck the Rebecca. But with the leader ability, it makes it a 5. So he bottom decks the Brook since that was the next best choice. And he gives it Rush, draws a card. And now he's going to swing out. I have 2 life and a blocker, so I can make it out of this turn. I opt to counter out of this, so I give him 2/2Ks instead of blocking, just because in desperation I could use the Rebecca for a final swing. So he swings with both Shanks. I take him, and unfortunately both of my Ice Ages were there. So I draw for turn, and at this point I realize I have to go for game. I can't pop these Shanks. I'm not making it to next turn. It needs to be done at this point. And this going back to my opponent's misplay last game, I could have, even if he gave the bull rush, I think I would have made it past into this turn, just because then I would have been able to counter out of the Borsellino swing, and I would have been forced to use one of these Rebecca blockers. So it may have been a misplay, but looking at it now, I potentially would have been able to make it out anyway, just because of the Rebecca blocker that I played. So I swing 9 at life, just because he's got 4 cards in hand, I think he said. 9 is forcing him to have to use 2 cards, so he gives me a Rad Beam and a 2k counter, which now leaves him with 3. So he had 5. So now I got to be able to figure out how to go at his life to connect 1 and make sure the last hit connects. So here you're going to see me separate all my Dawn, trying to figure out how to go about it. Logically, a 9k swing with the Sanji would be great, because then if he counters out, I could swing low with the brand new and then try to go for it with leader. But I was trying to split the Dawn to see if I can swing with the brand new also, but I'm going to swing 9 with the Sanji. Here, he's going to take it, doesn't have enough counter, and I just attach all the Dawn on leader and go for game. And that's it. If you guys like the content, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below what you guys want to see. As always, deck suggestions, I will always take them. I'll build whatever deck and take them to a local and try them out. But that's about it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.